PixMix with Arun and Patricia is brought to you by the Arun Mehta Show over at youtube.com/Arun Mehta Show and also on the podcast feed brought to you by Liberated Syndication.
PixMix with Arun and Patricia is brought to you by oldschoollane.blogspot.com in association with the Arun Mehta Show.
Welcome to PixMix with Arun
and Patricia.
Hey Patricia, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, it's very good. And so this is our brand new show, which we're going to do for the next 194 days that we got left until The Incredibles 2 comes out. So I'll just bring the audio down and we just bring you and me. So okay, so how this is going to work is that me and Patricia are going to be reviewing Pixar films, and we're both huge fans of Pixar, and I date back all the way back to 1994 when Toy Story first came out, and I've been following Pixar ever since. And Patricia, what's your love affair with Pixar been like?
Yeah, I have to definitely say the same thing, that when I was first introduced to Toy Story back in 95, immediately fell in love with it, became a huge sensation, and I've been following Pixar's work ever since.
Yeah. So how this is going to work is that many people are going to be asking, oh, are we just going to be starting from Toy Story and then working our way up? And nah, I thought we'd make it a bit more unpredictable than that. So what me and Patricia are going to do is that we're going to pick a Pixar movie at random, and then we're going to talk about it. So we've picked one from random today. And Patricia, what do you think it's going to be this week?
Let's see. Considering that the both of us, we went to see Coco shortly after we saw the Jungle movie together. I think that maybe that's what we're going to be talking about.
Gee, I wonder if that is what we're going to be talking about.
Remember me, though I have to say goodbye.
Well, Patricia, how did we guess?
I don't know. I think it's magic.
What a coincidence. And so, yeah, this is, would you believe that we're actually going to start with actually the latest Pixar film, which is Coco. And I have to say, right off the get-go, me and Patricia actually saw this together while we were in Deerfield Beach, Florida. And, it was actually very touching, actually, to spend time with my wonderful co-host to watch this really, I have to say, brilliant film. I have to say. And by the way, just to warn everybody, we are going to talk about spoilers in this film. So for all you guys in the UK, if you do not want to be spoiled on Coco, then I would say click away now and then come meet us back in January when it finally comes out. And yeah.
So yeah, I remember that. I remember when I first heard about Coco, and I was really curious about this because at first I was thinking, they're doing another Book of Life, because I remember this announcement was like shortly around the same time, or maybe shortly after that the Book of Life movie came out, which was about the de los Muertos. And I was wondering, that would be interesting. I want to see how Pixar does it. And then I've been hearing bits and pieces about it. And then as time went on, the advertisement was going like crazy. But it's funny that the advertising for Coco was going crazy, like during the time before the movie was coming out. But then that was when there was the announcement that the Frozen short was going to be paired up with it. And then everybody started talking about the Frozen short.
Mm-hmm. And would you believe that, also, by the way, by time of airing, we've actually just also got the announcement that the Frozen short that actually was going to come in the front of it. And I think maybe before we make that announcement, actually, I think we should talk a little bit about it. And a couple of months ago on the Arun Mehta Show, I said, when the trailer for the Frozen short first came out for Olaf's Frozen Adventure, I just said I thought it was totally and utterly unnecessary. And after watching 25, 30 minutes of just Frozen frolic, I can definitely say I was totally right on that. I think, barely anything happened, really, in this 30-minute clip that we got from Anna and Elsa basically trying to figure out what their family tradition was going to be for Christmas, and that they didn't have one, and apparently that was the massive dilemma in their lives at that particular point. And so, and if anything, I think it just for me that short basically just pushed the movie to like a 2 hour, and 'cause we started off at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I think we finished at like 5:15 in the evening. I think
Yeah,
it
we
was.
did actually. So the movie started at 3, and not counting like all the commercials of all the other movies that were coming out, we left the theater like around like almost 5:30.
That's crazy. And just thinking about this for a second, because the running time of Coco is 109 minutes. And so you add another 30 minutes onto that. So basically it ended up being kind of like a 139-minute marathon for that's pretty long for a kids film, isn't it? If we had to be honest, because there was a lot of children that were kind of were running around at one point, because they would be trapped in the theater for that for such a long period of time. And so,
Oh yeah, absolutely. And there was a few kids alongside with us, and I think I even heard one of them saying like, "Is this going on? Is this still going?" And it's like, "Where's Coco?" And that's so shocking to me, because if you were to tell me this like 2-3 years ago when Frozen was at its hype, they would be excited about the Frozen short. But now we're seeing a reversal in which people were just sick of it. It's like, oh, I don't want to see this Frozen short. I want to see Coco. I just find that to be so crazy.
It's because nothing happened virtually. It's like it was a rehash of everything that we were that basically happened probably in the first film, and all the characters that were there. And okay, we got to see a bit more of Arendelle, and but it's like I always thought that Arendelle was supposed to be kind of like this nation, and Olaf kind of made it look so small and made it so uninteresting. And it's like, so for me it was just it was just a whole load of nothing really for me. And if there was some kind of I don't know, some like political disagreement going on in the Kingdom of Arendelle or something like that, maybe I might have been a bit intrigued, because I'm kind of a bit of a politics buff. But besides that, it just felt like why are we here? Why again? It's like it goes back to saying about oh, sorry, got a bit of an echo there. But it goes back to basically say, make one up, basically of trying to find a Christmas tradition for Anna and Elsa and the family. Just make one up. In fact, they even said that there was a Christmas tradition. It's like them ringing the bell at the beginning of it all. So in a way, they kind of had one. And
I mean, sure, it was a vague one, but they had something that they did every year that is a tradition.
Yeah. So,
and you know what? And I also saw something on Twitter. I forget who this was, so I apologize for kind of stealing your paraphrased quote. But this short was like 20-25 minutes. There was a song like every 2 to 3 minutes.
Jeez, I didn't even count that. I mean, I always knew that Disney was somewhat musical, so I guess I've kind of become immune to that format from Disney material. But that's crazy thinking about they've managed to shove in that much music into all of that. It's like and also I can't even remember any of the songs.
Yeah, I don't remember any of them either. That's so crazy, because the original Frozen movie, I remember when that came out and all the kids were singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" and "Let It Go," "First Time in Forever."
Yeah.
But these songs, I can't remember a single one.
It's like, I remember remember the Care Bears movie? Like the first one that came out. I still remember the Care-a-Lot theme song before I remember anything that happened in this film. That's bad, man. That really is bad.
And that does not sound good, considering that this is supposed to be like a little teaser for Frozen 2.
Oh, that is that's horrible. If that's the case.
Yeah. I mean, this is supposed to build up the hype for Frozen 2. And I recall for some people, it's like when they were going around the Disney store, like personally for me, I was in Disney World a few months ago. And, they were selling the toys from the Frozen short with Anna and Elsa with their new dresses and Olaf and such. So Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of toys for Coco. I mean, I have seen like a few Funko figurines, but yeah, nothing as much as like Frozen. I mean, when Frozen was at its height, Frozen would have its own section at the Disney store.
Maybe it's for the best, thinking about it. Thinking how oversaturated now Frozen is. Maybe it's for the best. That's a
Oh,
Coco.
trust me,
So
absolutely, it is for the best. I think that the hype that Frozen had gained over the years, and now people are sick of it. And guess what? We're still not finished with the hype of Frozen. I mean, there's rumors about a Frozen Broadway musical. There's going to be a Frozen stage on Kingdom Hearts 3. So yeah, Frozen's not going to go away anytime soon.
yeah, I think eventually it will start to die. This is the. I think we're starting to kind of see like the kind of, I would say the decaying. I think of the Frozen phenomenon. But I think this is a pretty good sign because let's just drop the news on everyone here. As of now, it's been announced that on December 8th that Coco will be premiere or basically be screening on its own. It will not have the Frozen shot.
Well, that's what I think that's what it should have been in the first place. Because
Exactly.
again, I think I heard something about that Frozen. This Frozen short was supposed to air on TV on ABC or the Disney Channel or something, but they decided to move it over to the screening of Coco for some reason. And it's kind of funny because this is a Disney movie. This is not affiliated with Pixar, which is
Yeah.
incredibly strange to me.
I really do miss the fact that we didn't get a Pixar short at the beginning of the film, and instead we got this. And it's like it did feel like that it should have been it should have been a TV special. Like it should have been something that we saw on like Christmas Eve. And
Yeah,
like
I guess that's what their original plans were.
yeah, I just for me it was a complete waste of time. I think I wouldn't be too surprised if I tried to actually. Well, for those of you who do not know, we were sat like really at the front of the theater and like in the recliners, and so we did.
Yeah, here's the thing. You see, the theater that we were at, you have to actually purchase your seats in advance. Or if you are lucky, if there's any seats available, then you can be able to buy your tickets because these are reclining seats. So, yeah, all the tickets were completely sold out. And the last two, we had to sit like all the way towards the front.
All the way towards the front. But, that wasn't too bad for me because all I had to do basically was recline back and then you could see the screen. But I couldn't turn my head around to basically kind of take a look at what all the audience were thinking because some of the things I like to do is I do like to sit quite a way to the back and so I can kind of like garner the audience reception as well along with basically what's happening on the screen. And so, I saw everyone like burst into tears when watching Inside Out twice, by the way, because I went to go see it twice. And also, same for Finding Dory as well. So, but in this, I couldn't garner like an audience response. Basically, the only thing that had my entire attention was the screen. So the one thing I really wanted to do is I wanted to see how many people kind of dived out of the theater when the Frozen short was on, and then see who came back when it was over, and see whenabouts they came back. And who was poking like the head through the door to basically see if it was finished or not. So I couldn't get that response, unfortunately. I would have been interested to see what that was. But, anyway, we've gone 30 minutes talking about this. So, end of the day, Frozen short, for me, complete waste of time. Pretty glad that it's going to be going soon. And I won't miss it.
Yeah, me neither.
No. So, let's get on with the main event, and that is Coco. And so, what I've got the synopsis in front of me, so I thought we'd start from the beginning, and then we'll make our way through it. So, the plot is that the Rivera family history is told, explaining the matriarch Imelda, who was the wife of a musician, who left her and her child Coco to pursue a career in music. She turned it to shoemaking, which became the family business and began a tradition of which to this day bans music in the Riveras. And so, and this goes to all the way up to her great-grandson, which is 12-year-old Miguel, who is the main character of our show. So, Miguel, I mean, how did you feel about our main character in this?
I actually liked him. I find him very charming. I like the fact that he had this really strong passion for music and wanting to learn everything about De La Cruz. He was basically like playing his guitar in secret, and he watches his movies and constantly quotes him. I find it really, really fascinating. I really like this character.
Yeah. So then we get to learn a bit more about what basically drives his passion, which is obviously our next character, which is Ernesto de la Cruz, who is a popular singer and film star who tragically died after being struck by a giant bell after a stage worker dropped it on him. So that's so Miguel keeps a secret hideout of memorabilia for De La Cruz, and every day is discouraged by his family to becoming a musician. So, I mean, how did you think the conflict works between Miguel and the family? I mean, it was, it was pretty typical in a way, but at the same time, it did feel somewhat kind of fresh, which was kind of strange, really, when you think about it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of cases in which music is banned for a tragic reason. We've seen it in Footloose, in which there was this group who died in a bus accident and music is forbidden, and then some guy comes along and brings music back into this town. Yeah, so it has been done before. But yeah, it's actually pretty interesting, and it's actually really valid too, because this family was ruined essentially by the greatest musician who ever lived in Mexico, and they have that stigma in their family line, and so they try to get rid of it as like right away with the shoe business. And as time goes on with each tradition, they slowly start to forget about it. Even so much so in which eventually, when Miguel learns that Ernesto de la Cruz is his great-great-grandfather, then he starts becoming really excited. And even so much that the only person who knows about that is his grandmother and his great-great-grandmother, Coco. But nobody else in his family even knew that was the case. And so they want to focus on their business, which is making shoes, and they want to leave music behind because it caused so much pain for their families in the past, which makes a lot of sense. And also, but at the same time, Miguel has this passion for music. He has a natural talent, and he wants to be able to participate in this talent show that's happening on the Dia de los Muertos, and his family forbids him from doing it. So that's when we have this really interesting conflict going on.
Mm-hmm. So Miguel keeps a secret hideout of his memorabilia. Actually, I think I've already just gone over that. So when Miguel tries to enter the talent show, which is on the Day of the Dead, Ambuleta destroys the guitar when he tries to convince her that he tries to see him play. Miguel then discovers something hidden in the photo of Imelda, taken with her husband and the infant Coco at the center of the family ofrenda. Her husband, whose face is ripped out, is holding the guitar famously used by Ernesto. I liked this because this, did throw me. In this movie, because didn't you feel like this entire time, we thought that Ernesto de la Cruz was like the great grandfather of Miguel, and so it kind of like grabbed you in and wanted to kind of make you feel like you wanted to see him and see them meet and everything like that. So when basically we got to that point. So
yeah, absolutely. I did not see that coming. So basically, Ernesto grabs the guitar that was in Ernesto de la Cruz's tomb, like his grave, his burying area.
Mausoleum. Mausoleum.
Mausoleum. Thank you. So he plays the guitar, and he ends up in the world of the dead, and he sees all of the ancestors of all the people. They go approach them, and then there's this huge bridge that's made of flower buds, and he just walks by it.
Yeah.
And he sees his ancestors there, and they're shocked that he's there. And so his main goal is that he wants to find Ernesto, because when he tells his ancestors that he has this passion for music, and then when he learns that if he doesn't return to the world of the living by sunrise, and he's going to be stuck in the world of the dead forever.
The one thing I'll say about that is that it was a bit. Surely Miguel must not be the only grave robber in the whole of Mexico, who stole something from somebody's grave and then accidentally ends up in the land of the dead. So I don't know. That just feels it felt kind of weird when watching that. It's like, oh, good grief! How many other people might have stole something from from a dead guy and then ended up in this situation? At least in this way, this world is working. So that was
yeah. But I guess in Miguel's case, he wasn't going to pawn it to somebody to make money, and he wasn't going to try it out.
No.
And it and it just so happened to be at the day where all the dead people came. If it was like a regular day, then I'm sure it probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. It's I would like to have. I mean, I know they weren't going to get like a massive amount of explanation for that, but you know, it was fun, you know, to kind of like see it all go down. So, so he plays the guitar. He steals from the mausoleum, and he obviously ends up in the land of the dead. And then obviously he sees his ancestors, and we get to the point where they have to basically send him back, or else he's going to end up being stuck there forever. So, Imelda gives him the blessing to go back, but says that he has to abandon all his musical ambitions. That lasts about 5 seconds, and then he ends up right back in the land of the dead again, which I thought was hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
When he quote unquote accepts Imelda's blessing, he immediately decides to grab the guitar and he's going to try to rush over towards the talent show, but then he ends up back in the world of the dead immediately, and they're just looking at him as like, what are you doing? You're breaking your promise. You're not supposed to play music anymore. You're supposed to do your job of being the inheritor of the shoe business. So he decides that, hey, Ernesto de la Cruz is my great great grandfather. I'm gonna get the blessing from him. And so then he runs away. And he tries to look for him. And along the way, he meets up with a guy named Hector, who earlier in the movie was trying to get to the bridge that divides from the world of the dead to the world of the living, but he can't go there because the computer doesn't find his picture, and so he has to stay in the world of the dead. And so he decides that, hey, they're going to make a deal. So he apparently knew Ernesto de la Cruz. They used to play music together. So he says that he's going to help him get to Ernesto de la Cruz in exchange for Miguel, giving him the picture and saying, if you put my picture up, and that way I won't be forgotten, I can actually go over to the world of the dead. And and then they have an agreement, and then that's when they have their little adventure.
Yeah, and I like this buddying up, you know, because like he's kind of like two people who are kind of like playing each other in a way, and so like one's obviously lying about one thing, one's lying about another, and so it's I don't know, would I compare it to Huck Finn? I mean, I don't know if that's
I guess you could say that, sure.
Yeah, so it's something like that. Mind you, I'm sorry to go back to the shoes again, but I know it's a really, childish thought, but you remember in the episode South Park when they have Chipokumon, and one of the Chipokumon is a shoe? It's like, it's a family making Chipokumon characters.
Exactly.
My brain is stupid. Okay. Okay.
You're 12.
Yeah, I'm 12. So we get to I'm sorry. So Imelda and the dead Rivieras are determined to try and find Miguel, and so they can send him back. So they send off their spirit guide to go off and find him. And I tell you, it's a pretty ferocious looking thing, I have to say. And mind you, didn't all the spirit guys, like, they're all like flying around and like walking around and stuff, and they're all pretty beautiful. And
oh yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first saw the scene where Miguel was looking at all the buildings towards the world of the dead, and it's so beautiful, so colorful, so detailed. It was just a sight to behold, and I'm sure if you saw it on like the big screen, I'm sure, especially in 3D, I'm sure it would look really nice on 3D.
The one thing that annoyed me about it, though, is that, before they, like, showed Coco, like, they did, like, a kind of behind-the-scenes thing, and they kind of showed you, like, all the amount of layers, and, like, it was really impressive to see, but when you kind of, like, deconstruct it like that before you've actually seen it, it did kind of, like, take away a bit of, like, the grandness of how big it actually is. So like if I hadn't seen like the behind the scenes stuff that they showed before the movie came in, I probably would have been a bit more blown away by it. But
definitely, I do agree.
Yeah,
but then I'm sure for some people they might say that, oh, I saw this in the trailer, so I knew that this was coming. So yeah, it's kind of hard to stay away from spoilers, especially even if you're going to see a movie.
Yep. So Miguel Hager managed to meet Frida Kahlo, who she tells him that they can get to meet Ernesto if they win a talent show to be in his opening act. So here's the thing about the talent show. I got to be honest with you, it felt really rushed to kind of like put this in, because you think about it, Ernesto is having his party on the same night that they're having the talent competition, so basically to see who gets to perform at his party that's currently, I assume, is ongoing. Which is like, it's I would have accepted it if it was like, maybe a day or maybe 2 days before. But it's like, imagine this. I mean, sorry to keep bringing this, but keep bringing up, this. But this is my only frame of reference at the moment. Hey Arnold, the Jungle movie. Okay, do you remember when they announced the competition to like, for the Helpers for Humanity, and Mr. Simmons said there was a week to do the competition, which was which was believable because you have to do it in a week. Imagine if Mr. Simmons said, okay, then there's going to be this competition, but it's due in a few hours, and you got to put it all together, and the plane leaves in the morning. Yeah, it's like,
Oh, wow.
That's the way this felt to me. I felt like the talent competition was a bit kind of rushed. I mean, I would have liked it to if, like, let's say, for example, because my idea of like Ernesto, like during like the show, I thought I thought his backstory, how I was interpreting it in my head while I was watching it was like he was some kind of like party animal, and like he just wanted to like go out, play music, mess around, basically be like a pop star in a way. And so, I thought the story was basically going to be like Miguel and Hector chasing him around the land of the dead, going to bars, going to talent shows, having to like perform and stuff, like going around the whole land of the dead and eventually catching up with him at some point. But, I thought the idea of like just like, this talent contest that, allows him to go up, in a couple of hours to go to his party, I thought was a bit, I don't know. I thought.
I think that maybe, in some ways, with the exception of the one scene in which the band that eventually does win and and Miguel actually joins up with them to sneak on to the party, and the family actually looking for Miguel so they can be able to send him back to the world of the living. And of course that song was, it was fun. Other than that, I don't think that the scene was really necessary.
No, it felt like it was just stretching time, if anything. I think they could have like done more with the land of the world of the dead. I felt more than just basically kind of like condensing it into this kind of like talent show. I just felt like. It felt a bit. Also, some of that, in a way, it was kind of unnecessary because they could have befriended the band. And then they could have like had some kind of like musical thing together, and then they could have like won friendship over that, and then they could have snuck them into the party rather than basically going through all the time. That would have
been a lot more quicker, and it would have still made sense for the plot.
Yeah. Okay, so although it turns out that Hector is actually no longer on speaking terms with Ernesto, Miguel manages to get into the singer's lavish party with his help. Miguel introduces himself to Ernesto, who cheerfully welcomes him as his great-great-grandson. And so I thought this was kind of like a very warm kind of thing because he ends up having to get his attention by basically performing again, and then he like he's like everyone's like attention is all on him, and then he falls into the pool obviously, and then he gets him out, and then the whole secret's out after that because the whole makeup is now washed away, and everyone sees that he's like the living boy, and it's like funny how Ernesto basically thinks it's like the coolest thing ever that he's like his real life grandson, and like, and then they just have like this big massive party, and everyone just stops caring.
So yeah, pretty much exactly. Yeah. And he's just really shocked at first. He's like, "Wait, I have a great-great-grandson," and then he just immediately goes with it. It's like, "Hey, everybody, I have a great-great-grandson," and then he introduces Miguel to everybody, and everybody's cheering and celebrating, and Miguel's having the time of his life. And then as time goes on, he actually asks Ernesto if he can give him his blessing. That way he can be able to return to the world of the living, and he can be able to continue playing music. And so at first he was going to do it, but then lo and behold, we have some more drama and some more tension coming in.
Mm-hmm. And so, and then we get to the. Sorry, I lost my place there. So, then it turns out that I'm trying to remember when it was when Hector comes in. So, during the confrontation, Miguel points out that the detail that prompts Hector to realize that his death this entire time was not accidental. And that in a scene where one of the Ernesto's movies, Miguel figured out that Ernesto and Hector used to be partners in the music industry, but Hector wanted to go back to his family, so Ernesto poisoned him with tequila. So after Hector's death, Ernesto used his song and his guitar to become famous, taking Hector's portrait. Ernesto detains Hector and Miguel in the Sentinel pit. So basically, it was a really interesting twist, to say this, because I really thought, we were riding this wave of like, Ernesto being Miguel's great grandfather, and then it turns out that that's not actually the case at all. So
no, it's not. And not only that, but the whole shtick about Ernesto de la Cruz being the world's greatest singer, it turned out to be a lie as well. He never wrote any of the songs. He stole it from Hector, and he basically just took all of his glory.
Yeah, I really thought, in my mind when that was all coming out, I really thought it was going to be like, this entire time, Ernesto was a fraud, and that that's who Miguel was, and apparently what his family was saying about him was right, and that he was he got massively famous but didn't get famous honestly, and so I thought that was gonna play up in some way, but it was really interesting to go in that direction of like this entire time it was actually Hector who's the great grandfather of Miguel. And then so they've been playing this along for this time, and it was a really good twist, and he caught me by surprise because
and also caught me by surprise when Hector revealed about why he wanted to go back to the world of the living in the first place was because his daughter, the person who still remembers him, is Coco, who is Miguel's great grandmother. And so then we come to the conclusion that Hector and Miguel are related. And so then they decided that they were going to try to work together so they can be able to sabotage not sabotage. They were going to grab Hector's photograph from Ernesto's pocket, which he hidden away, while at the same time we have this huge concert that's being played where everybody is watching, everybody's cheering for Ernesto. And so that's when we have Imelda and the rest of the family, as well as Miguel and Hector, joining together so they can be able to grab the photo. But at the same time, we have this hilarious antic with Imelda first going on stage, and then she starts singing, and then Ernesto comes in and they have this duet and they start dancing while they were trying to grab the picture, and then the security guards come by and they're trying to chase after them. And so then we have this climactic scene in which they're being cornered, and then Ernesto is like yelling towards Hector and confessing everything, but not knowing that the camera is recording everything and the entire concert seeing it.
Do you think that was? Do you feel? I don't know. When I was watching that, it was like I felt like I'd seen that already before in Monsters Inc. If you think about it, because that's how, if you remember, that's how Waternoose was exposed to the CDA, that he was recorded in in the training room, basically saying, I'll kidnap 1,000 children before I let this company die. So I don't know that bit where it did feel like it was done before, in a way.
Sure. I mean, it is to be expected, I guess, because it is Pixar after all.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think.
It's the same way in which we were able to, in the beginning of the movie, we actually saw the Pizza Planet truck driving by.
So it's so it was that's how he was exposed, and then he was crushed by another bell, which was. I think I didn't actually see coming, to be honest with you. So that was an interesting thing to throw in. And then it goes, but after the hilarious moments, it goes right back to the drama, and that they haven't got the picture. The Hector's fading away. Time's running out for Miguel, and they eventually have to give him the blessing, and they pretty much give him a blank check, pretty much, and say, "Oh, you can go back and do whatever you want." And so. Then he goes back, and Miguel is horrified because Hector could possibly, will disappear unless he does something. So then he comes up with the idea, and I don't know, maybe I might have missed something, but he comes up with the idea of taking the guitar, going off to try and find Coco, and then playing the guitar for Coco. And Coco at this stage, she's old, she's frail, she's losing her memories. And and actually, this is actually based. What happens next? I think it actually is based on scientific research, and that is that if there's been talk about music like trying to recall memories from like people with like dementia and stuff, and so
Yeah.
I think what they did here actually was scientifically and emotionally sound.
Yeah,
Funnily enough, in
I
a
think I
way.
did hear about that. That if you play a song that's familiar to people who have dementia or Alzheimer's, or if you show pictures, or if you show a movie based off of memories, and they slowly do remember it. So yeah, I think that it's yeah, I think that's accurate.
Yeah. So Miguel plays the guitar, and obviously everyone's trying to wrestle it off him, and trying to stop him. But then I think his parents, I think, step in and say that let him play, and then he starts to play, and he plays this really emotional rendition of "Remember Me," and which I thought was a really touching song. And at the beginning, then when Coco started to join in and started to remember, I bet I really wanted to turn around and see how many people were crying. I really wanted. I
I can
couldn't.
assure you that some people were crying. I think I
Oh,
even saw like the mom with the kids. I think she was starting to tear up.
oh man, that was like that's up there with when what's with Inside Out when what's her name Riley
Riley.
starts tearing up about how she misses Minnesota, and I think that was definitely up there as a very touching moment. And then she pulls out of the drawer the other part of the ripped up picture, which this entire time happened to be Hector. So and then puts it back together and puts it on the ofrenda. So and then basically saving Hector from disappearing into dust, basically. So it's
Yeah.
well, that, and also on top of that, you see it's 1 year later, and Coco has passed away, and then they're all like reunited, which is also a really fun moment as well. And I tell you, Miguel looks really, really, really adorable in like his little outfit and everything. So playing and strumming with the guitar, and I think it just ended like on the most happiest note you could possibly end it on, and which is pretty much par for the course, I guess, for Pixar films. But yeah, I'll remember this ending for a very long time because it was so musical, so beautiful to watch, and yeah, it was great. And
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. Absolutely.
yeah, to say the least. I mean, if we, it's like I can barely put into words how amazing this film actually was, and I do like, I really hope that Pixar keeps going in this direction of like, going to different cultures and going into different traditions and building stories around them, and because Pixar is always good at doing that, and I'd rather see them do this than basically put keep on churning out uh, endless Cars sequels. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that for a long time they were just focusing on sequels or ideas that didn't really work. But yeah, I say that Coco is definitely one of the best Pixar movies in a very long time. Absolutely. If you're interested in checking it out, then please do so. It's amazing. It's heartwarming. It's humorous. It's musical. It's colorful. Yeah, I think a lot of people are gonna love it.
yeah. I think I definitely give it. I definitely give it. I mean, shall we give scores out? Shall we? Because I always give scores out of 10. For
Sure,
when
sure,
those.
why not?
I tell you what, I will. I mean, again, there are some bits in it which kind of feel like it's just basically stretching time. But I tell you what, that time did feel very rewarding, even if it was feeling a little bit stretched. And so I would definitely say give this a 9.
Yeah, me too. I'll give it a 9 as well.
Yeah. So yeah, so definitely go check it out, and hopefully we haven't spoiled you. Well, actually, we've talked about the entire movie, so we have spoiled you on it. But hey, go see it anyway. It's like if you, yeah, we definitely recommend it. So hey, we start on a very good note. So anyway, that brings us to the end of our first episode of PixMix, and so I think it's been rather fun. And
Oh, absolutely. I had a great time.
yeah, so we'll let you know what our next PixMix is going to be in the next episode. And so from me, Arun Mehta,
And Patricia.
take PixMix with Aaron and Patricia is brought to you by the Aaron Mehta Show over at youtube.com/Aaron Mehta Show, and also on the podcast feed brought to you by Liberated Syndication.
Picks Mix with Aaron and Patricia is brought to you by oldschoollane.blogspot.com in association with the Aaron Mehta Show.
Welcome to PixMix with Aaron.
And Patricia.
Hey, Patricia, how you doing?
I'm doing okay, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, it's very good. And so this is our brand new show, which we're going to do for the next 194 days that we got left until The Incredibles 2 comes out. So I'll just bring the audio down and just bring you and me. So okay, so how this is going to work is that me and Patricia are going to be